Hi, so in today's video I am going to show you how to make some cake toppers. Now I have done a cake topper video in the past and I will put a link to it on this video probably at the end, and that was just welded words. And then in another video I've also done what I called scribbled shapes, which I'll also put a link to. But in this video I'm going to combine the two and make another kind of cake topper. Now I'm using the Canvas Workspace downloadable program, and the reason that I'm doing this is because I can use any font that is on my computer. If I do this in Canvas Workspace online, I'll be limited to the fonts that are in there, and I don't want that. So if you've not got the downloadable program of Canvas Workspace, go to the online version, and when you go to sign in, there's a section there that tells you that you can download it. It's available for Windows or Mac. I use a Mac, so this is how mine looks, but I think the Windows version will look the same. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over here to the shapes. You can see them on the shapes tab, and I'm going to get a circle. I'm going to drag the circle out until it's about, let's see, we'll make it 8 inches. Okay, now from within this edit menu, which is over here on the right hand side, I'm going to come down to the offset. I'm going to say inward, and I'm going to take the spacing up to about a quarter, just over a quarter of an inch, 0.28, and say OK. So now as it looks at the moment, I've got one circle with another circle on top, which looks like a frame, and that's what I want. But to all intents and purposes, these are two solid circles, and I'll not be able to weld my words or anything on this. So, and by that I'll show you what I mean. So if I go to the layers panel and go to the first circle, and if I go to the fill colour and fill it with purple, and then go to the other one and I'll fill it with pink, I'm just going to send this bigger one to the back. So now you can see I've got one circle that's a solid circle and another one in different colours, so I'll just undo that. But I want to weld these together to give me this little frame. So I'm going to select both. I'm going to go back to the editing icon. I'm going to hit subtract. And when I do this, it will punch this pink circle out of this purpley maroon circle. And I'll be left with just a frame, and that's what I want. So now I'm going to come to the layers panel, and I'm going to come down to the bottom and duplicate it 2 more times. So I've got 3 of these frames, and I'm literally just going to drag them and overlap them. I'm going to drag an imaginary box around all of them. I'm going to go back to the edit icon and I'm going to hit weld, and they have now all welded together where they overlapped. And that is kind of basically more or less what I showed you in the scribble shapes video, although I did do this with other shapes. So from here now, I want to put some words. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. I'm going to come up to the text icon and then left click once on my page to bring me this box up. And for the first example, I'm going to say Mr. and Mrs. and enter on my keyboard. Now you can see up here it says text font. I'm going to click on the drop down arrow, and this is now going to bring up all the fonts that are on my computer. And I'm just going to scroll through and I'm going to look for brush script, and that's instantly going to change that Mr. and Mrs. into that font. Now I honestly can't remember whether this brush script font is a standard font on my Mac or whether it's a font that I've downloaded off the internet. I only ever get my fonts from dafont.com. So if you don't have this script, this brush script font, and you want to use it, go and have a look on Dafont. But this will work with any font that you choose. You don't have to use this. This is just what I'm choosing. Now I want to break these apart so that I can manipulate them. So with this all selected, I'm going to come down on the editing icon, come down and come to the where it says process overlap and divide. And that's going to make each one of those letters individual now. So what I'm going to do, just going to zoom in so I can see them a little bit better. And then to deselect the zoom, I'm going to click on the arrowhead. Now these two already look as though they're already overlapped. So I'm going to select both of those and hit weld. And they've welded together. I don't need to do anything with the and at the moment. And these look as though they're all overlapped. If they weren't, I could move them, but I'll just put that one back. And I'll select these three and hit weld. I'm just going to come back now to about 40% so that I can see my mat and my shapes. And then I'm going to rearrange these words so that they overlap. And you can do this, you know, any way you want. I'm not spending a lot of time on it. I'm just showing you how to do it. I'm going to select everything. Again, under the edit icon, I'm going to go to weld. Now, I've got two boxes there. I should only have one. So it means that something's not welded. And I think it's the top of this ampersand against the R. I don't think they're overlapped enough. So I'm going to undo. And I'm just going to move I'm going to zoom in and I can see that this isn't touching. So I'm just going to move this so it overlaps. And then I've got an overlap here. So let me go back to 40%. So now when I drag an imaginary box around the three and go to weld, they will all weld together. So I'm going to create a duplicate of my circles and put that off to the side. And now I'm going to bring this in and I'm going to drag it out until it touches. Now I may have to rotate it, but basically what I want, it's touching here at the top, it's not quite touching here, and it's touching here. So I've got at least 3 points on the Mr. and Mrs. that are touching the scribble. And that's what you need, otherwise it'll just be floating around in midair. And then I'm just going to mess with it until I think it looks right. So now I'm going to drag an imaginary box around both, and with the two highlighted, still under the edit tab, I'm going to say weld. And now that's all welded together. And again, if I fill it with colour, you'll see that is now my cake topper with Mr. and Mrs. And I can make this any size I like. Now, at the moment you can see it's just under 10. So if I make it 10 inches wide, you could then now hot glue bamboo skewers or kebab skewers to the back of here and here, and that would then sit in the top of your cake. So that's the first one. Okay, so now I'm just going to do another one, but you know, you can use Mr. and Mrs. You could use Happy New Year, Happy Birthday, on your wedding day, anything. You could even do it with numbers. So I think what we'll do, I'll go to the text and I'll click left once with the left mouse on my page to bring up the text box, and I'll put 18 and enter. and it's remembered the font because obviously I'm still in this same mat. I'm just going to drag it out though so you can see it, but as you can see there's a big gap. So again, while I'm under the edit menu, I'm going to come down to divide so that these become two separate items, and I'm going to bring over the 1 until it just overlaps the 8, select them both and come down to weld, and they've now welded together. So I'm just going to drag that out and I'll fill it with a different colour so you can see it. So now I want to drag this out so it touches on at least 2 sides. You can have it so it just sits within here, and if you do that and select both and weld, it will look like that. Or you can make it bigger and you can have it so it overlaps this circle and it comes within the space of here and here. And if I select both and weld, you'll see how that looks. So you can have it entirely how you want it. Then again, select it, I'll just make it 10 inches and enter. So there are 2 different types of cake topper just made using basic circles that I turned into frames. So I hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't already do so. Make sure you've got the bell notification icon switched on, then you'll get notified every time I upload a video. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.